I'm here today to negate the I'm here today to negate the resolution the United States federal government should eliminate federal gun regulations. To begin with, I'm going to give you a roadmap. I'm going to sum up our topic, give you some more background information just to show you how clearly we do need regulations. We'll refute the affirmative's plan, although the negative team does not see it as a plan or as an argument at this point. We're going to respond. We're going to build up our disadvantages, and I'm going to provide some more analysis as time allows. And then I'm just going to simply show you how unrealistic it is to suggest that we, as a nation, should eliminate federal gun regulation. To begin with, the affirmative is trying to focus on assault rifles, which limits the scope too narrowly, and they're trying to make it impossible to defend. There's a topicality issue because we're focusing just on assault rifles, where it's clear that our topic is federal gun regulations, which encompasses all firearms. Unfortunately, their argument has failed because there is no AR ban at this time. It was up until 2004. It's now 2017, so we're 13 years too late on that. Everything at this point should really just be dismissed. It's not topical. It's not talking to anything that's going on, and then the center and the core of their argument is based around a ban that is outdated. And in the previous speaker's speech, they agreed that there was regulations needed. So that's already in place. So unfortunately, their plan is just to use the status quo, but call it something different. To give you a little bit of background, I'd like to begin by reiterating and summing up our topic. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, federal gun regulations include those related to manufacturing and distribution of firearms. It's regulated by the ATF, which is the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearm, and Explosives. The eligibility of a person to possess firearms, which is under Title 18, U.S. Code, Section 922. The acquisition of firearms, which is again under Title 18, U.S. Code, Section 922. Sales between individuals, which is under the Gun Control Act of 1968. The use of another person's firearms, Title 18, U.S. Code, Section 922. Antique firearms, which is under the National Firearms Act. Shipping of firearms, Title 19, U.S. Code, Section 164 and 165. And ammunition, which is under the Gun Control Act of 1968. I got all of this through justice.gov, which is just a resource where you're able to look up federal laws that are in place. The federal gun regulations provide the framework for states to establish and enforce regulations within their own area. It's just there to serve their respective regions. So really what's going on is the federal government is assisting the states in regulating their own areas. I'm going to move on and start going into the AF's plan. Right now I'm going to be refuting the plan that already exists. According to the AF, their plan is to eliminate all restrictions on assault rifles, then place restrictions on weapons so that they will not get into the wrong hands and administer background checks to those wishing to purchase them. That's something that the federal government has already done. The state doesn't need to use their precious resources in doing that again and creating more laws and going in and making more regulations that are already in place and are already taking care of these issues. Secondly, the AF is suggesting that we should eliminate federal gun regulations that already work. So, again, there is no point in doing it. It's just a waste of time and resources when the status quo has already established that, and the status quo is not infringing on any state rights or on our right to bear arms, which is going to take me to the Second Amendment. So according to the Second Amendment of the Constitution, we have the right to bear arms. The Second Amendment is part of the Bill of Rights, which is added to the original Constitution to protect the citizens against their federal government. The states, excuse me, we are already protected from the federal government because of the Second Amendment, and the states are tasked with the regulation of their areas. The AF has stated that the right to bear arms should not be infringed. Infringed means overstepped, right? So the federal government is not overstepping when, in all reality, they are protecting our right to bear arms. I'd like to talk about a Supreme Court case that I didn't print. It was McDonald versus Chicago. Basically what happened is Chicago, which is a state entity, said that they put a ban on firearms in an area because you had to pass a background check, and they had all these restrictions, and you had to register before you could get a firearm. But that was impossible because of the new restrictions they placed. So essentially what they did is they made it impossible for you to get a firearm. It was taken up to the Supreme Court, where the federal government said the state could not, said that it was taking away a fundamental liberty. Again, the federal government is here to protect our fundamental liberty of the right to bear arms. The regulations are merely in place just to protect the citizens and to go off of what the states have already established. The AF also talked about regulations pertaining to manufacturing. Unfortunately, there is no way to eliminate federal gun regulations while keeping manufacturing regulations. This is because of the Commerce Clause in the Constitution. The Commerce Clause states that the federal government should be involved in any and all commerce, and they're to regulate it. Commerce is pertaining to the trade between two states, or interstate trade and business. Their plan doesn't, or what they're trying to do here by eliminating regulations in conclusion, they don't really have a plan or harms or solvency, and unfortunately weren't speaking to the topic at this point, so the status quo does stand and holds true.